so I was away from the thing.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Blackout Tips Podcast. I'm your host, Rod, joined as always by my co-host,
Karen.
And we're ready to do some feedback. The feedback episode is when we talk about the things that you had to say about the things that we had to say. It's very meta like that. The official weapon of the show is
the taser,
an unofficial sport.
What about?
And of course, in order to leave feedback, just look at the show notes. The website is in there. If you're on Spotify, of course, you can hop in the polls and leave comments on the Q&A. The email address, the voicemail, everything is right there at your fingertips. If you're listening to this somehow, there's no way that you don't know how to leave feedback. So let's get into it. But the one thing that's not on there is on the website, the first page on the right hand side. You can always donate to the show.
Yes.
And we love when people give us money, okay? And we love it so much because they don't get anything for it other than a shout out, and we love it so much that we like to shout them out.
We do.
May I have your attention? You are now listening to Charlotte's Own, Rod and Karen. We welcome the good folks who tithe to the Black Driver Tips.
That's right. New day, new loot. Let's talk about the people that gave it to us. Coming up first, Tanya S. Thank you so much for your current donation, Tanya. Marlon B. Wonga from Down Under. Dotstry J. Tiffany B. Shirley Huang. Esquire, please say the Esquire. Jane M. Alfonso M. No relation. Palmetto S. Palmetto Stone. I can say that one. J. Full. Lindsay B. Mr. Span from the Spare Report Podcast. Autumn W. David C. James C. Jasmine J. Dr. Professor Bambi. Unbridled Love. Latricia C. A lot of C's coming through. Oh, our girl Amon hit us with a $16.19 donation. I'm only bringing up the amount because she wanted to point that out. She said, well, this joke was ruined because she had made a joke about this last week and I didn't see a PayPal donation. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, apparently she had donated $16.19. Shout out to the 1619 Project, Nicole Honda Jones, and said, well, this joke was ruined. I used the PayPal function this time rather than my card. Enjoy the money. Iman. Thank you, Iman.
Thank you.
And lastly, Falcons Diva hit us with that recurring donation. Thank you so much, Falcons Diva, as well. Play me out, choir. Getting too funky for him. All right. Let's get into these 5-star reviews. We had some, and we likes to read them.
We do.
As long as they're what, Karen?
As long as they are nice.
There you go.
If you ain't nice, you wasted your 5 stars. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. You might as well just go ahead and keep your 5.
Write a different podcast that likes constructive feedback, because we don't.
We don't. No, we don't.
Okay, we like to be loved on and lied to. The best. The best podcast in the game. See what I'm saying? This is who wrote this? Sakura. Listen, you started off right. Okay, the best. Love us and lie to us. The best House of Dragons recap you will hear. They will have you laughing and thinking about how little thought others put into the shows they watch. Listen while you can, because this season's almost done. Then sub to premium so you can get their archived episodes. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for supporting us.
Yay.
I think I read this other one because it says it's from the 6th. I just don't remember reading it. But to the best and my fave, best podcasters in the game, from segments to their reviews, keep doing your thing by Roman. Thank you, Roman.
Thank you.
A1 Podcast. This is by Mignon, who says, highly recommend it for anyone who enjoys comedy, news, pop culture, and TV reviews. Karen and Rod are hilarious, insightful, engaging, and real in all the best ways. This podcast is a staple of my daily routine that keeps me laughing out loud. A1 Podcast that everyone should have in the rotation. Thank you.
Thank you. Yay.
Finally, writing a review, says Slazer1.
Come on through, finally. Guess what? You right on time as far as I'm concerned.
I'm tired of getting clowned every week, so here's my 5-star review.
I'll take it.
I've been listening to the show since 2016. You guys are part of my daily routine. It used to be my commute, but now that I work from home, it's the soundtrack to my face beat and morning workout. Thanks a bunch and keep it up. Okay, routine.
Come on, morning workout.
We trying to help. Okay, we
Trying to
helping
help
these
you getting
routines.
fit.
We routinely put out a show, so why not throw us into the rotation?
Come on, and 1 and 2 and lift and squat and bend
and get them sit-ups, right, girl?
Come on, get that booty tight.
Killing it still. This is from Rob Hertz 94, who says, "Hi, K Rod, it's Bokai. I'm actually one of your Spotify listeners, and it's wow." And then you went back to Apple to leave. Thank you. I'm actually one of your Spotify listeners. It's been a great 2 years since I found you guys there. I wanted to write an updated review to let you and everyone know that it's been a great ride listening to you guys confirm that I am not crazy. But this ain't just a 5-star review. It's a sneak them thrones comment too.
2 for 1.
All I want to know is why the realm stays mad at Rhaenyra instead of the system. Don't get me wrong, she is beyond reckless. However, they all abide by a system where a bad actor can take advantage of a lie and have people die of it. Whoa, this is a rare case of art imitating life. But that's all I wanted to say. Wishing you both the best, Bokai. Yeah, I mean, honestly, you can make that argument for every single character that wants the throne. Really, is why they mad at blank. The system should be put on trial. And what I would say is you're right, and it does make me feel like, anytime I think this is such a far-fetched subject, I'm like, I don't know. Niggas ran up on the Capitol.
Right?
Maybe that's what happened is you try to insert them bastard babies and they run up on the Capitol in Westeros.
That's not good.
All right, let's get to the comments on the website, theblackguywhotips.com. And we got several comments. Okay.
Yay!
The first episode has 9 comments on our feedback episode, Celsius versus Fahrenheit. So Appia, of course, left the first comment.
I told you, Appia in the future, boy, should be on it.
The right answer to this question is, of course, Celsius. Because I think the poll question was, oh wait, no, I don't even know. There was no question. She just decided that it was a question, but it was more of a statement. Is of course Celsius. To quote a random Reddit user, I have found Fahrenheit is useless, backed by my science teacher. Mic drop. Well, it's a science teacher in a Celsius country. Like, that don't mean nothing. And who thinks 42 degrees is hot? About everyone in the world aside from the United States, Belize, Palau, the Bahamas, and the Cayman Islands. Well, that should explain a lot, because those places all have it wrong. All right, 42 degrees is not hot.
That's not that hot.
If I came in the house and said, "Oh my God, it's 42 degrees outside," everybody would be like, "What does that mean? What?" So I guess I need to wear a coat.
Throw on a light jacket.
Yeah, but if I say it's 90 degrees outside, you know that it's tank top season. She says, even I was surprised by that. I thought that at least 10 regular sized countries would be in your Fahrenheit camp or so. Well, that's because we're elite. That's what it is. It's the American exceptionalism.
We don't follow the rules. We do foots and yards.
She even says, but it seems to be part of American exceptionalism. Exactly. Sorry, we voted against, England. My bad. Didn't realize it was gonna be so. Y'all was gonna take that T shit so personal.
We turned that T over and was like, we reject it all.
I didn't know. Valid point with military time and starting 2 world wars. Yeah, exactly. Germany on some y'all like to fight.
They like to fight.
Military time is basically just crunk music for white people. There is at least a correlation. I can promise you, at least I will not be starting any wars ever. And if I see someone who is about to start one, I will talk to them. I guess it is a pretty surely. I don't know what that means. It is a he. Oh, because it's gonna be a man. Yes, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it is.
And use my hardcore sales techniques to sell them pacifism. I can sell my kids on homework and chores, so I'm confident here. Hashtag never again. Hashtag Germans for peace. Hashtag Celsius for life.
Come on, use some skills.
And then of course Sean responded. So military time may make one of your fans in Germany want to start a world war, and then you suggest she join up with one of your fans in Japan, because Germany and Japan joining up on the 24-hour clock has never gone wrong in the past. Right. We're trying to save y'all. if y'all switch to Fahrenheit, y'all would be more cool. Y'all wouldn't be over here fighting all the time. Also, if you want to convert from Fahrenheit to actual temperature, some shit I'm not gonna read. It's so easy. You can do it in your head, and it's just you can see from all the equations.
I'm not gonna do math. I'm
sense.
So sorry to disappoint you. I'm not multiplying, adding 2, and subtracting 3. I'm good.
Nah, I wish it was that easy. If it was that easy, I'd just switch. But it's not. It's all kinds of bunch of times 9 equal 378, bunch of shit. Anyway,
bunch of pies in there. I'm good.
Where the money resides, says Mwangangi, which I have no idea what that means. I think he just wanted to say it. I don't think that's a comment to anything. And Appia said, should Mr. Appia ever leave me, I'm calling Sean. So at least
I don't blame you.
I think it feels like we're
smooth the transition.
It seems like there's some sort of illicit affair happening in our comment section.
Why switch up when you can just move to the left?
Mr. Appia, if you're reading this, I just want you to know I have no part in this. When I said if you love Sean so much, go marry the nigga, that was sarcasm. I didn't realize we were starting Japanese.
Look, they said it was just in their back pocket. They didn't say they was gonna do it today.
Yeah, well, that's how they start. The next thing you know,
just in case, break the glass.
That's how it started. Next thing you know, you buying somebody a Lamborghini in front of your congregation.
Oh no!
Rod and Karen, what's up? This is Law. I think I like Kanye West for 3 albums. Many people say My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy and 808 and Heartbreaks are his greatest albums, but I believe those were the first signs of him being unhinged. This is the part that's funny to me, right? It's funny that they can't be great albums because they were the start of him being unhinged. That's really my point. Is if those albums are great and possibly also like they can be both,
right?
It doesn't have to be like only people that are in their correct drug or they're correctly monitored in the normal range brain function are making good albums, and then there wouldn't be no good albums.
There are some people that was high as shit and doing all types of drugs, and them was some of their best albums.
Yeah, so but it's just anyway. I'm not saying it's just funny you made the distinction of like people say those are good albums, but I think that's when he was. I'm like, yes, they were good albums, and he probably was starting to be like to have that mania kick in and shit. You know, he sees himself as Black Donald Trump, but he's a lot closer to male Candace Owens. If he takes a hit to the head, he'll be Herschel Walker. The way KM had him pressed over Pete Davidson, I thought he was about to be O.J. Simpson. Let's just hope he doesn't get the idea for a podcast. I'm not black, I'm Kanye. Okay. Anyway, sending y'all my love and support from Cali. Stay up, Law. Thanks, Law.
Giving ideas. That might be the next thing.
Kanye with a podcast. I don't know, man. I read something the other day that said him and Candace Owens talk on the phone like all the time and shit. She's like an advisor for him. I just, it honestly does make me sad. I know for a lot of people it's just let's bang on them and I just in my mind and I get it's not for everybody. So if you feel differently, don't write in. I really don't care. This is just my point of view, but in my mind, I find him much more tragic than like a Candace Owens. Or Jason Whitlock. The Kanye thing doesn't even really make sense in the way that people want to frame it because it's really not a money thing for him. It's losing him more money than it's gaining him.
Yes, it is.
It makes no sense other than he just refused to take care of his mental health, and now it's a problem for everybody. But it's becoming an even bigger problem for him every day, and it's just sad to sit there and know that some people can be so rich and famous and powerful that they literally are beyond help. And I guess in a way, all of us are beyond help in our, if you've ever dealt with someone that had mental illness in your regular life, you know how hard it is because their brain is telling them things are normal that aren't.
Right.
And then you want to take it to this next level where somebody has all these people in the world because of staying culture and shit willing to tell them, and hanger-ons and shit just willing to tell them like, no, the crazy shit you're saying is right.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with what you're saying. Matter of fact, come on our show and let's talk about it. it's so fucked up. Our society being so attention based that it in his brain it definitely makes it seem like I'm right, because why else would all these people pay attention to me and want me on their shows and want to listen to me and share ideas if my ideas were so bad? And the one thing I have noticed, and I haven't really articulated on social media because I don't feel like arguing with these niggas, but it's funny how once he went anti-Semitic, so many more black people were willing to be like, it's mental illness now. When he was saying anti-black stuff, I think because we wanted to be mad at him and it made us upset, it was like mental illness is no excuse. It ain't got nothing to do with mental. You just racist. And then when it went to like he's saying this hotel black people are the real Jews shit, and I guess enough of us recognized that one. We was like, only crazy niggas say that shit. And then it was like, oh yeah, he crazy. He's like he needs some help. This motherfucker. And I was like, that is interesting. And then flip it to white people who sat by and never said anything when he was saying anti-black shit. Maybe they felt it wasn't their purview. Maybe they felt it wasn't their lane. I get that, that maybe they didn't want to step into something. But what I think is interesting is once he said something anti-Semitic, a lot of white people, white celebrities suddenly were like, hey, Kanye, that's enough. Like, this is getting out of control. And it's interesting, the distinction in that if you stay anti-black, white people that are famous and shit for the most part will still have you on their platforms, treat you normal. And it's just a difference of opinion. But as soon as he went to anti-Semitic, it was like, no. Deplatform, take him off of all the social medias, all that shit. He been saying anti-black shit for years.
Yes, he has.
Instagram ain't banned nothing. Facebook didn't ban nothing. Twitter didn't ban nothing. None of these celebrities was demanding call outs and solidarity. Nobody was chastising black Twitter for not speaking up or any of this shit. It's just at least that's how I see it from the 10,000 foot view of like watching how people flip real quick. But yeah, at the end of the day, I've just had to write off that dude until he wants to get help. I can't make an argument for him that he can't make for himself.
Agreed.
Pamela M8 says, hello, Karen and Rod. This one goes out to Karen and her favorite sound bites. Let me set it up for you. All right, let me pull up the sound bite.
Not my favorite sound bites.
I love this.
Demands.
I was on my way home from a doctor's appointment this morning, which I forgot about. It was getting close to my coffee break time, so I went to the drive-thru at Dunkin' Donuts, got a double chocolate like I used to get in the pre-pandemic days. When I tell you that when I opened up the bag at home, that donut was tiny. It had no heft at all, and the icing didn't cover half of it. I bit into it. It was so dissatisfying.
My reaction is angry, sad, and disappointed.
I would be too.
Good thing I had some homemade lemon olive oil butter cake to supplement. Thank you both. I can't wait to start off my work week with your feedback show, and I've started to check out the show on YouTube when I can't be live in the chat so I can see what you're talking about. Pamela. Thank you, Pamela.
Thank you.
And in mine writes per the poll, because the poll was, do you have a person you're rooting for to win the throne on House of Dragons? Said per the poll, not at all. I mean, anyone can get it. Team Fire and Blood, team Let the Chaos Again. I'm here to see the dragon battles, flames on flames. Let them fight. Iman. And then the poll, do you have a person you're rooting for to win the throne on House of Dragons? So apparently I made a mistake and left one of the default options, which is the best plugin ever. 2 people picked that.
The best plugin ever. That's hilarious.
God damn it. This is science. This has nothing to do.
They thought it was an option.
What the fuck is wrong with y'all? Anyway.
They was like, I can just plug somebody in. Cool. That's the option I'm going to pick.
Anyway, 5% yes, 43% no. 38% not at all. 8% of course, and 5% best plug-in ever.
they like me. They go into the fish joint ordering spaghetti. Y'all out here like me.
I don't I don't know what. Yes, I don't know what the guy got into these people, but it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, like this. That's like this shouldn't even be here. I don't care. I don't want. I'm a pick it.
Y'all couldn't even pick up on the. Y'all couldn't even pick up on the context clues. That
Nope.
anyway,
if it's an option, I got the right to pick it. I don't blame them.
Anyway, the poll on Spotify, 82% said no, 18% said yes. And then we had comments also on our YouTube page. Oh no, not on this one. Okay, cool. No comments, but we did get a lot of thumbs up. Thank you everybody that listened. But we got comments on the Q&A and Spotify. Woo, y'all had a lot to say. Was the Q&A?
Yeah, yes, it was.
Ernest says, I held off last week. You're welcome. Thank you, Ernest. Listen, this episode was almost 3 hours. Okay.
Y'all was like, look, here are some words. You gonna get them.
Ignacio says, I can't wait for this Wednesday. Damn. Raphael says, there's still COVID-19 on these streets, and I got the key to where all the blacks reside in Germany for Appia. I accept euros. We paused all that just to know who gonna be the last dragon standing. Chrissy says, Chrissy Knight 131 says, it's regards to the polls, make no sense rooting for anyone because they all messy, especially Ray and them bastards. Yeah, I said it. Come stab my eye out. Well, this is a day before Baymon said it, and it didn't end so well. So
you see what happened, and at least you didn't call her a whore. So hey,
personally, I would never question the lineage of her children.
Me either.
Anyway, let's go to the next episode.
About them his kids.
9 comments. 2615 praying on your knees. We got a lot of comments. Appia, of course, came in first. I had the same reaction about the Prime Minister of Finland. Did she break any laws? No. Lots of people hate a young and also very good-looking woman in charge.
Yes,
but I think she's also got lots of support. Yeah, that's true. She did also get a lot of support. There were a lot of people at the time that were like, leave her alone.
Right.
Abia says, what should people do about Kanye? I would be very happy not to hear, but he is a genius ever again. This only makes him act up more. My bar on genius is a different one. I will not do what's expected and name some known white people here, as it was my first impulse. To educate myself, I found a site with some very impressive black people. Unfortunately, I mostly don't know. And there's a link to some black people she mostly don't know that I'm not clicking on because she don't even know them. By the way, I love that I set a price tag on being anti-racist in 1906. If every white person was saying 1906 to a black person, it would be a nice start. Sure, it would be nice, And then and then by nature, someone would double up. The problem is in America, we can't let the white people pick the black people they give 1906 to, because like Candace Owens, Jason Whitlock, they'll be rich.
We get all the 1906.
They get the 1906 first. Law says, is it just me or all these long exposed racists lurking in the shadows for an opportunity to chime in again? They stay looking for an open window like Ezel on Friday. From Sarah Silverman to Sharon Osbourne, is Kramer going to be the next to chime in about why white lives matter? Is Paula Dean going to start liking Chet Hayes tweets about how come we can't say it?
Oh, no.
As soon as we forget about these people, they walk in the room like, oh, and one more thing. It's like a racist bat signal appears whenever Kanye pulls a fashion stunt, whenever Beyonce drops an album, and whenever black people appear in spaces that certain imaginations believe to be white only, except Kanye is inviting these people with MAGA welcome mats. Joe Biden pardoned people locked up on weed charges, cool and all, but I wonder how much more will he do before his time in office is up. We still have more than one town without clean drinking water. Police still get away with horrific crimes in the nationwide, and nobody seems to want to push the RICO cases on white supremacist organization. That shit goes up high, from the illiterate Jim Bob working at the gas station, the judges selling kids to prisons. Pardoning crimes for something that never should have been illegal seems like the easy part to me. Yeah, what's funny though is that those things you're bringing up are things that, one, he's working on, or things that Joe Biden can't do shit about.
A lot of that is local municipalities, and a lot of times people have a tendency to forget. Not trying to be funny, like the laws that Joe Biden passed, a lot of times they federal. A lot of the shit that you're talking about is that shit is literally up to the individual states, and if the states are fucked up, there's not too much he can do about that. No matter how many laws that he passes, some of these states can, depend on how the laws are written, can be like, fuck that, we ain't doing it. We give them money for the water, and they could turn around and be like, we ain't fixing the pipes, bitch. What can you do about that?
Well, it's not just that for me. I don't like this sleight of hand thing that motherfuckers do when there's progress, where they try to move the goalposts to like, this motherfucker didn't fix everything with this one new thing. And it's like, well, first of all, they passed tons of shit. Not just this one thing. This is the culmination of another very progressive thing that Joe Biden has done. After many people said he wouldn't do shit, after many people said he wouldn't be progressive, and flat out said he wouldn't be an effective president. So this is a big deal. It's something we said we wanted, we got it, and now we're going, it ain't shit. And so that's one of the reasons I have to push back against this negativity. The second thing is that the DOJ is putting RICO cases on these white supremacists. What do you think this January 6th shit is? Every time we read and every time we go to the election news, quote unquote, we're reading about some white supremacists going to jail and them using that to lock up other white supremacists in jail. They still got them boys up in there that ain't seen the light of day since January 6th, when it came to like the 3%er motherfuckers.
They ain't got no bail.
They got a whole wing of the jail in DC because they all up in there. They are investigating ties. The January 6th committee is literally bringing up the ties to military, Secret Service, and all this stuff to them people. So I just think it's so cynical and purposely demotivating, because and I'm not saying law is doing this, but I worry about the next step, which is always like, what's the point then? Right. Why have a Democrat in office? Why have a Democrat president? Because it's a town without clean drinking water. So clearly, what's to be done? We supposed to be happy for this? And it's like, I don't know. I think the student loan legislation, trying to decriminalize or deschedule weed are major things, and they're also things that help Black people. You know, the fact that it's doubled up for Pell Grant people, like. So I don't know. You could write this about any president that passed anything at any time. So it feels weird to try to throw that on Biden. Like, so he pardons them. Well, how come Mississippi ain't got some drinking water in the towns? Like, because that's not Joe Biden's job or purview.
And also, it's one of the things where, when people, particularly online, make these statements, you know what you're doing? You're dismissing the thousands of people that are going to be directly impacted by these laws. Like for people to come out and be like, well, it ain't shit. You go, okay, the people that are being impacted, this is a big thing for them. Like,
right.
This is huge for them. I can actually go back into the workforce. I can actually go find a job. I can actually, go buy a house, find a place. Like, this is big for them. And I think it's one way, in my opinion, to downplay the work that is actually being done, because there's actually work being done out here. And just because you don't see it, and just because these things don't directly impact you, don't mean it's not important. And put like this, people can do both. People can be concerned about the water situation that you're bringing up, and they can also demand more, but don't shit on the fact that these places don't got water. They go, these places don't got water, we need to fix that. I'm glad you did this, and I would like for you to do more, but I'm not going to shit on the fact that something happened. And for a lot of people, I think because of the climate that we live in, nothing is never enough climate. And like you said, that could be a very dangerous place for people to be, because it's really easy for some people to be demotivated. It can be really easy to look at it as this big, overwhelming sea. I was talking to your daddy one time, and I was kind of talking about how, some things are being passed and it doesn't feel like changes is happening. He said something that actually made me change my perspective. He said, whenever you're in a room and let's say it's 44 degrees and somebody changes the temperature to 45, he said, you don't initially feel the 1 degree temperature change, do you? I said, no. He said, but especially
if it's Celsius, you definitely don't feel it. But go ahead, Karen.
But it is such. I'm sorry. Let me go up a little higher. 75. It's 75 degrees.
Okay, now I understand. Okay, go ahead.
It's 75 degrees, and you change it to 76 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
you might not immediately feel it, but it's a temperature change.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. A lot of this shit is just going to be slow. And we live in a society and a
Well, hold
world
up.
that
No,
don't want slow change.
This is a completely different point. It's not even about slow. This is major impact.
It is.
If we are able to change the way marijuana is scheduled, if we're able to, if we're pardoning people who had simple possession, and if states follow suit. This is very quick change.
Yeah, yes.
So hold on. This is not an argument with you. This is just a point I'm making out. I'm saying what this person just wrote in to say is not even tangentially related. It's just a way of being like, well, it's like if he's just said, well, the polar ice caps is melting. It's like, okay, yes, the world is shit and everyone's dying and things are terrible. And one man is not the king of the world who will fix it all. And none of us voted for him thinking that. So it just is a way to kind of like demoralize positivity. That's what I don't like. It's a way. It's like if I said like, oh man, we won that game. You're like, we didn't win by 20 points. It's like, well, we've been fighting to win this fucking game. We won. That's like, take the W. Yeah, we had turnovers. Yeah, the other team scored points too.
It wasn't a perfect game.
Yes, there's a whole other team out there whose goal is to be like, we want people locked up forever for weed. There's also their goal is to make sure no black town has running water. Also, their goal is to make sure that that white supremacy is the law of the land and that it goes unchallenged and that no one goes to jail and that Joe Biden wouldn't be president and that January 6th they would have ran up on there and killed Nancy Pelosi and them and Trump would still be president. So if we're gonna give best case versus worst case scenario, go all the fucking way and be like, well, at least we're not living in that alternate reality where it is worst case scenario. I'm not trying to fuss at law, but it's just it's an annoying thing that I see people do all the time whenever we have a victory. We won something. I'm gonna celebrate the wins as much as I, miserate with the negativity. When we doing something good, it's like, yes, we've been pushing for that. And I don't want to hear but what about this other thing that ain't his fault and can't be controlled and he can't fix? Okay. You know what I mean? Like that's the part that's whack to me. Anyway, hypothetical is 2028. Both Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom have expressed wanting to run for president. Who y'all got based on what we already know in 2022? You ain't got to answer that. LOL. It's more rhetorical. Yeah, that's if we even get there. I don't even know. I don't know what's gonna happen. I've already seen the pushback against Kamala, even though a lot of this agenda that's being passed is directly from Kamala's campaign and her mind. But people want to give her no credit. And you look at people like Bill Maher and stuff and how much disdain they express for Kamala, which I don't even know where that comes from. I know where it comes from, but it's not anything based in a reality. She didn't do anything. They just decided they don't like her and she's not a good candidate. And I've listened to podcasts where black men are like, Kamala could never be president. She's a black woman. And to see that their minds are so made up and unimaginative is disheartening, because if there's enough people that believe that, then it becomes true. And there's no good reason to believe that. Nope. There's nothing wrong with Kamala Harris. And I love what Gavin Newsom's doing. So we'll see. Maybe they would combine on some type of ticket. But that's such a hypothetical, and that's literally so far away. Who knows? It crossed my mind the other day and I freaked out a little. I wish Democrats would step up and give us some more options, because this pendulum swinging is on my nerves. The last thing we need is more options. If anything, we need less options. You just brought up 2 options and said you got nervous. How the fuck you gonna deal with 7? like if anything, the last time with all the candidates running for the Democratic,
diverse shit that everybody claimed that they wanted.
Yeah, that was the funniest thing to watch everybody go. It's too many people. Like there's never gonna be a good answer.
Right.
Anyway, these pro-insurrectionists are praying to God that doesn't even approve of them, but progress is so slow and they can never answer their own prayers by taking action in their own hands. I vote Democrat, but I don't feel any connection to the party. As two-faced and spineless as Dems are, they still seem least outwardly villainous in modern times. Conservatives are drunk on that hee-haw juice, but it honestly feels like they're playing good cop, bad cop with us, especially when you're black and realize both wings belong to a foul-ass racist foul.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to find. Do you know what show you writing into? Like, I hate to tell you this. We got two options, my nigga. There's nothing else. Okay, I understand we got other parts of the world where it's 45 options. We got two. We got people that's saying, lock the niggas up. We hate the gays. We hate the Jews. We want everybody to have these children. They want to take us back to the great grandfathers and shit like that. Well, no, them people. And then you got the people that go, we're not perfect, but what we're not trying to do is take out all the goddamn way back. We're not perfect. We got flaws. We fuck up sometimes, but you know what? What we're not trying to do is that shit right there. Those are the two options, baby. So you know, I know people get in their feelings about these things, but I am just sorry. I don't want to hear this shit about how everybody's terrible. Yes, people are terrible. People run this shit. They're horrible. They're terrible human beings. But in the system we got the people that we are trying to not be as bad, and the people that don't give a fuck. Them are the only options.
I think there is a option for him, and I think he should consider it. It's the Forward Party. See, the Forward Party is fighting for American people with practical common sense solutions, and you need to join them. Okay, Andrew Yang is out here trying to get the people like you that want another option, and you know he's just trying to say, listen, it's not about anything that divides us. Okay, it's just two sides of the same coin. As you just pointed out, the Democrats and Republicans, and if you really want to do something, then throw your vote away to him, and I think, that could work out for you. But yeah, anyway, I think I'm reading this book, and this is a big tangent, but I'm reading this book right now by Paula Giddings. It's called When and Where I Enter. And it's about Black women and the history in America and how, they've always had to find space for being Black and being a woman, and they fought for that. And I'm currently reading about the fight for suffrage, right? And when the suffrage movement started, it was basically women's suffrage, meaning women wanted the right to vote, and Black men wanted the right to vote. And some of the stuff I'm reading is just reminding me of just how fucked up we are towards Black women, right? Now, why I bring up Black women is that Black women vote Democrat 90-something percentage, right? Black women who fought the longest for the right to vote, longer than men, longer than white women even, really. They were fighting before white women, and Black men, of course, got their rights before them. And some of the vitriol and just downright dismissive bullshit that I'm reading about Black women is so sad to read, and of course there's denigration of Black men in this movement as well. There's white women saying Black men are just gonna start raping them if they get the right to vote, and using racism to try to push for white women to get the right to vote, but not Black men, and by extension, of course, not Black women. And then there's Black men going, these white women need to shut the fuck up, but also Black women, y'all need to stop worrying about voting, let a man take care of this part, blah, blah. And the only thing I keep thinking is how when Black women got the right to vote, they dedicated their vote in a solid block Democrat every single time. And so when I hear people say Democrat is not the party of Black people, I actually find it a little bit too simplistic. I do think it's the party of Black people. I do think that it is Black people that consistently have used this as a tool to push for ourselves. You know what I mean? At this point. And I understand Republican and Democrat flipped a long time ago, but the party that has been like, let's not be as racist is the party I'm gonna vote for. It doesn't even seem complicated. I think people want to make it more complicated. Maybe they make them feel smarter or something. That's on them if it does. But for me personally, it is a no fucking brainer. So I don't think that it's necessarily a loyalty thing or whatever, but I do feel a connection to Democrat policies. I do feel it's weird when people say I feel no connection. I'm like, do you feel connection to the Voting Rights Act? Do you feel when you see a politician get up and speak and they start talking about topics, which are you closer to going, I'm connected to? because there's nothing over there for Republicans for me. Not anything. They don't say anything I feel connected to. Democrats are the only politicians that have made me feel connected to something. So I just think people want to be so cynical. They want to be above it all, but I'm not above it all. I'm in the fray. I'm in the fight. And these motherfuckers, the only motherfuckers that's willing to fight with me. So yeah, I know it's a big ass difference between like there's politicians willing to show up and say Black Lives Matter and they all happen to be blue. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't even understand what we get from pretending that it's some type of weird neutrality here. There is no neutrality.
No, and in my opinion, I think a lot of people do this, and this is why we got 2016 is because people love to get on their moral high horses with shit. Because when people say shit like this, all they're saying is that I actually don't want to participate. I'm saying this to make an excuse, so no matter how it falls, I can ride on my high horse and be like, well, fuck it. It's almost like a way to tap out of the process.
I also find it funny that a lot of this shit doesn't seem to pop up until I'm gonna move on. But yeah, it's just super wild to me as a take. But you're free to write in, Law. I appreciate your point of view, and you at least gave us something to launch off of. But no, I disagree with 100%. Some of the undercurrent of what you're saying. And I am surprised that you wrote in as a fan to think that we would be with this bullshit.
We would be okay with that, right?
Because we're less than a month away from voting in the most important midterms of my fucking life. And we are literally could be about to lose the right to vote, lose affirmative action, and all this type of shit. And it's gonna really fucking matter who's writing the next batch of laws, who's able to pass things and shore things up and recodify things. And this ain't the time to me to be like, I mean, it's like they all bullshit to me, but I guess I'll vote. Like, well, it's not I guess over here. I meant to make this short, but something happened between my intent and my result. My phone is just making this post look bigger than it is. Nah, it was long. Let's hope. Anyway, thank you, Rod and Karen, for your dedication, your integrity, all the other dope shit in that package, Law. Yep, appreciate the writing in, but like I said, I just disagree.
Yeah, I disagree too. And like I said, for those of you that have heard us, y'all basically know where we stand, and that's why I called that out, because I was like, hey, everything we've been talking about, like this actually goes contrary to everything we stand for. So I'm like, no.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway, so let's get to the next comment. Oh, so this is from Sean. It is also an extremely long comment, and I basically don't want to read this because I don't know if he's just trying to be funny. When I was like, you can kind of stop writing the dissertations every time you write in. And so I don't know if it's a joke to him and he thought I was wasn't serious, or if he can't help himself and he has to write 8 paragraphs when he writes in. I don't know which one it is, and I didn't see any jokes in here really. So yeah, anyway, the main point he was writing in I did appreciate, which was pardons and expungement are separate, because I said Joe Biden is pardoning people and hopefully that means they can get back in the workforce and get their own lives. But he said just because you're a pardon, you still could have it. You're still going to have the conviction on your record. So if someone looks it up, it'll say they were convicted of this crime. So maybe it's another separate process. They will have to see if they can possibly get it pardoned. Yeah. But then he wrote some shit about theory versus theology, and then Keynesian and monetarism.
We don't care. I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't care.
Yeah, it just
my eyes glazed over like I was in statistics 305. I'm good, dog.
Yeah, I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care. Let me tell you, we don't care.
Himdale writes in, hey Rod and Karen, here are some of my random reactions to this show. I gasped out loud to clutch my pearls like a racist white woman who realized they are walking in front of a black man at 4 p.m. in a white neighborhood when I heard you say people don't like She-Hulk. What's not the love? Is it because she whispers she's green? Or because she, dare I say it, is an intelligent woman? Just thought about it. It's because she can only twerk when she's green. Yep, cancel her for only having rhythm as a Hulk. Also, when you all were talking about Trader Joe's bringing back samples, I can totally see the sample people offering Rod samples with both hands, and he's walking around with his nose up, waving them off with the royal hand. When Rod does try a sample, the same person is waiting with bated breath for the chef's kiss from Rod that never comes. Honestly, man, I'm just not a big sample person.
I'm the sampler person. He don't do the samples. I can normally go and grab 2, one for me, one for him.
Yeah, I'm not a big sample person. One, it's never enough. That's how they get
it's just a taste, it's just a bite,
just a little something. Then that's how they make you buy some more. So y'all not tricking me. Nice try. Okay. And then the poll was, do you feel sorry for Christian Walker? Yes or no? 14% yes, 86% no. And I think I just don't. I've heard, like, I listened to Van Lathan's podcast where he had a lot of sympathy for him. I've talked with Randolph Terrence where he was kind of expressing some sympathy for him. I don't know, it's like a masculinity thing where it's like he has a father and his father has let him down, and he's seen abuse in his household and stuff, and I don't know. How old is he? Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I'm disconnected. Maybe he's younger than I think he is. But okay, he's 23, so he is young. So maybe that's it. But I think what he's doing is so destructive and so cynical. I don't think he even believes what he's saying.
I don't think
and so I think that's where I draw my line of like, even this next phase of playing on the tender mercies and sympathies of all the people that he's denigrated, and I feel like it's part of a con, and I honestly am thinking that y'all are falling for it, that are like, I feel so bad for him. I feel like he knows that that's what you want to feel.
Yeah, and he'll turn around and flip to the other side. Like it's no moral ground there. It's no sincere change, in my opinion.
I don't see how a person can do the things he did, say the things he said, knowing what he knew the whole time. And then we go, it feels very much like the scorpion trying to cross the river on your back. And I think if y'all fall for it, I understand, because I was one of those people that used to fall for that kind of shit. Like, my empathy would lead me so badly that I wouldn't even be able to draw a line and boundaries and borders around what was healthy for me and what was sympathetic for others. But I'm off that narcotic. Fuck that shit. I'm not cold toward a cold person, but I'm just no longer letting people use me as I give them the benefit of the doubt, and then it's clearly obvious that this motherfucker's a scorpion crossing the river on my back. All right, let's see. The poll on Spotify, 95% do not feel sorry for him, and 5% do.
They got the money. So,
it's a slightly less percentage. It was 14% that felt sorry for him on our site.
Yeah, the Spotify people looking at him like, go get therapy. I can afford it. Why can't you? Because they got the money.
Yeah, and they know a grifter when they see one. They like, how you think I got money?
Yeah, how you think I got mine?
And the Q&A was, BLM isn't giving out refunds, Sharon. Because Sharon Osborne said she want her money back. June says, you goddamn right. Go on, Miss Sharon. No give backsies, LOL. She should. Shh. Yes, she should. Jacob says, can you write it off on your taxes, though? Asking for a friend. Rachel says, fuck Christian Walker and fuck Sharon Osborne. I'm with you, Rachel. Raphael says, tell Sharon I'm open for bids. Send them checks my way, and I'll educate her with the rarest I'm not racist NFTs. She'll need 5 just to be safe. Pay in US dollars. Sharon, trust me, not BLM, okay? Neil says, as it should be, it's called a donation for a reason. Thanks for your contribution. And Sandy says, placing bets on how long before Ye has to go on Nick Cannon apology tour. Yeah, because he said something about Jewish people. We'll see. And then as far as the other thing that y'all said, what was it? It was fuck, one of these comments just made me think about something. I don't know. Oh yeah, you know what's funny? I do think Black Lives Matter ripped some people off. I just don't care. Like, it's wrong that they did that, and it's fucked up to be, partying in a mansion and hiring your brothers and shit as your ex-husband, your baby daddy, as like a DJ and I get it, but until like Sean King get the money back, and you know, if he like Time's Up gives the money back, I'm like, yeah, y'all listen. Paying these organizations is a at your own risk situation. You know, ain't no damn 90-day receipt refunds. You knew that.
You, if you cut it, you better be cool with never seeing it again.
I'm not opposed to refunds. I just think if we start the refund list, it's got to start with like the Red Cross and work its way down to BLM. We're not giving up the money first, okay? Yeah, I see all that pink y'all be wearing during the NFL Octobers and shit. Like, that money don't be making it to them titties. The money be making it to people luncheons and shit. So but I read the articles too. I do be looking at BLM sideways sometimes, like, God damn, what they do? Hold up, that don't seem right. There were no comments for this episode on YouTube, by the way. All right, let's get to the next one. This I had 11 comments. It was with JL Covan, the rare we have a guest and get a lot of comments episode.
That is rare, because normally we have a guest, y'all be like, ooh, y'all said enough. Y'all don't never add anything. Y'all be like, ooh, got no notes.
We didn't just get 1 or 2 comments, 11 comments.
Ooh, y'all had something to say.
Now half of these are probably after you're talking to Sean, but still.
We'll take it.
Let's give JL the W. Okay. Is he taking over Chris Lambert for favorite guest? I don't know.
I don't know.
Newsy says to this episode 2616, we stopped giving the kids Arby's. Damn, the whole second son theory might be right. I have an older brother by 3.5 years, and he's always been physically bigger than me. So I almost remember the day when my parents said he shouldn't hit me when I annoy him because he's bigger. I became an absolute monster from that point forward, pushing all of his boundaries and buttons. I think my brother may have been impolite to someone once in his life. I wish I could have exercised a lot more chill growing up. I just didn't know how. I'm telling you, man, it's something about it. And even to this point, like, I understand my younger brother probably more than he understands me, because I'm older and I've watched him grow up every second of his life, where there's 4 years he didn't get to watch me grow up.
Right.
And I will always have a soft spot and a weakness for my brother that I wouldn't have for some other motherfucker.
Agreed.
For sure.
Like, right. And but that's like, just family, right? Like
I'm gonna always try to, we all we got, and I'm gonna always try to make some level of peace or look out for him if I can, as opposed to, if some other motherfucker hit me up with some of this, like, just hey, can you do this? I'll be like, no, nigga, what's wrong with you? But it's my brother. It's like, how can I make this work? And I think that's what big brother's supposed to do. That's what big sister's gonna do. The eldest sibling, I wouldn't even say it's just a brother thing. I think it's a older sibling thing. But at the same time, there, once you add gender in there's a bunch of other different constructs that come up for older children that is even more expected of them than boys. Ramsey D. Jenga says 5 stars for a good time, good last, and plenty of facts when the Right Reverend JL Covan returns to the Blackoutist podcast. The Right Reverend, that does I guess, like, righteous prick, righteous reverend. Okay, that makes sense. I was thinking Reverend Right. Goddamn comedy. Not God bless comedy, goddamn comedy. Rugler Juve says, just a great episode all around. Laughs, information, and legal analysis. Thank you. Abia says, I agree that in America, the discussion often is no abortion ever versus abortion shouldn't be limited at all. My opinion is neither of that. I never had an unwanted pregnancy, and why? I had access to birth control and education about the process of getting pregnant, and luck that it worked out. I'm glad. I still absolutely want abortions to be safe and legal if those measurements aren't successful, but I think it's easier on the mind and body to prevent it in the first place with sex education and birth control. And that's America in a nutshell for you, because America, a lot of the same people that don't want abortion do not want sex education in our schools.
Right, they don't want to teach you.
Yeah, it's so crazy, because it's clearly what they're trying to do is make everybody have babies, especially and only white women. Abia says, I was impressed by the Ariel comedian who was attacked with the beer can to stay in control of such a stressful situation. I was impressed by her as well. She also says the world of names and heritage is very confusing. Stephen Bauer changed his name to Stephen Bauer to sound more Western, as I have read. Bauer is a German name and means farmer. So a Latinx actor changes his name to a German name to fit better into Hollywood. My head hurts. I mean, if you want to appear German, good for you. By the way, today I met a new black person. Oh, you were doing so well. It's an intern. So close. It's an internist in the hospital, and it was in the work context. The only one black physician in my selection of maybe 300 physicians, and he is new. I didn't ask him any embarrassing questions. Don't worry. Oh, finally. Okay, you know what? That's progress.
Yay!
You know what? You know what we call that? Growth.
Mm-hmm.
We love to see that. But I didn't ask him to apply to be my friend or something like that. We talked only about health failure. Well, there you go.
Yay, I'll take that.
Classic R&B Lover says the episode with JL in the same week that we get a House of Dragons recap. The podcasting gods are truly smiling upon us. The only thing that could possibly top it would be JL's Dem Thrones and Justin acting right on pregame and balls deep, or with the latter signal the beginning of the apocalypse. Probably. Iman says, per the poll is, do you feed your kids Arby's? Per the poll, no, I don't feed my kids Arby's. I actually have to give props to my child because she's the reason I stopped eating it. Oh, props to your child. Nigga, I've given you 2,600 episodes of nothing but pure flames telling you to get off that damn Arby's. But, a child.
Get off that narcotics.
From the mouth of babes comes all that. Oh, okay. This is ridiculous. When I was a college student, I would buy 5 for $5, 5 beef and cheddar sandwiches and spread them out over a few days. LOL. After I got married, we moved to Cali and Arby's wasn't there. So once I got pregnant, went home to have my baby. There, I tried to eat Arby's again. This unborn child of mine straight up rejected it. It's left such a bad impression in my memory. I've never gone back. My baby girl saved me. Love her. Well, hopefully that was before you started even listening to this podcast. Let's just pray that I haven't been wasting my breath. I love it when y'all bring JL on. Y'all are hilarious together. Maybe he can come back for one last episode of House of the Dragon. Love and mine. I don't think we're gonna do any guests for House of the Dragons. I think we're just gonna go through at least this first season of just alone. Because one, the scheduling thing is a big part of it.
Right.
When I'm rewatching it on Wednesday, I don't know how long it's gonna take. Sometimes it can take an hour, sometimes it can take fucking 2-3 hours with me stopping and making notes, and then we just come in this room and record. So it's a lot more convenient for us to only have to worry about each other as opposed to add a third or fourth person to the mix of scheduling. But maybe, I don't know, we'll see. I think
we'll see about next season.
Maybe next season we might think about something like that, but right now I just really love the groove that we're in. It's fun, it's creative.
Yes.
Karen talks more when we actually don't have a guest doing those things, so then we get Karen's contributions and jokes a little bit more. For some reason, when we have guests, a lot of times Karen will just sit back and it's not the same. So I like it.
I don't overtalk the guests. I know it's a middle thing for me.
And then we don't have as much not that JL would do this, because JL's actually a fan of the show, so he'd be great. But in general, we don't have as much arguing and pushback, which I don't like when we're doing our recap. So our recap is really more like yes and improv than it is let's debate where the show is going and which characters we're rooting for. And a lot of people, they don't, even when we have guests that are friends of the show, they don't necessarily listen to our recaps or the show. So a lot of times they're like, this is how I talk about Game of Thrones. And it's like, that's cool, but we don't want to do your show on our show. We want to do our show with you, which is, kind of hard to get people on board with sometimes. Do you feed your kids Arby? Yes, no, I don't have any kids. 9% said yes. 38% said no. And 53% don't have kids. So the overwhelming majority of people really realize it's irresponsible parenting. And on Spotify, it's even worse for the people that do Arby's. 4% yes, 35% no, and 60% don't have kids because they dedicated themselves to their careers.
Come on, they got money. They was like, who gonna be spending money in these kids? Anybody got time for diapers and bottles and shit? I could be going up in the club in VIP, flying first class.
Right. We also got 6 comments on the YouTube for this one. In Harmon says, heart emoji, laugh emoji. Philip says, of course, back in my day, we all got Arby's. They were selling roast beef sandwiches for cheap. Who can make that $5 for $10 deal? Was it like quality beef or them drugs that kept the prices low? You know what it was. Brianna says Dan Aykroyd doing Lionel Joseph and Trading Places had me crying. Sadia says 3 comedians chit-chatting. Oh shit, not the comedian brand. Don't let JL say that. Sentient Sponge says justice for elder siblings. The dynamics are even worse when you're female and we get delegated familial or emotional labor. Yep, totally understand that. So yeah, then we got on Anchor the Q&A. Rest in power, Dame Angela Lansbury. Lamagia Oscura says you laugh, but my high school actually had a deal to sell Arby's in the school cafeteria. I ain't laughing. That seems like I'm laughing.
I didn't know that. I didn't know they could even do that.
Yeah, that's abuse. I bet your high school was rough as fuck. I bet it was like that Joe Clark High School up in there. Ernest Mazik says, "Hey Siri, play Murder She Wrote by Chaka Demus and Pliers." Oh, great. Now my phone is doing it. Okay, don't do that. Raphael says, your 5% Nick Cannon JL killed me. Rest in peace, Dame Lansbury. Solving crimes in heaven could be a fire podcast, you know. Alicia says, a legend, a real one gone too soon. Rest in power, Queen. Exactly. Rachel says, not gonna lie, I thought she died years ago. Exactly. Miss Potts is one of my favorite characters. Recipes to a real one, says M. Nicole. And lastly, Brooklyn Shoebabe says, recipes Dame Angela Lansbury. Mm-hmm. All right, last episode of the week was Big Mama Viserys. We got 6 comments on that one. RWH 2016 says it's clear that Vaemon comes from a long line of Valerian Hoteps. The man had too much brown liquor. He was warned. How unfortunate. The Meisters were right about that. Valerian still, it cuts clean. Yeah, my favorite thing is that people always, because we just can't help ourselves with, we all absorb millions and millions of narratives of TV and books and stuff. So everybody always thinks the truth being on your side and being right matters. And every year, the Game of Thrones universe is like, no, it don't. And Vaemon was a big, like, people were like mad at Vaemon to a certain extent, but I was like, that's because Vaemon did what you as an audience claim you want to do, which is like, you just run up in there, the truth is on my side. And Vaemon was right. Them are bastards. The throne should go to him if something happens to Corlys and all that jazz. It don't matter. You got your fucking head cut off, acting stupid. Same checkers. Ramsey says, I'm listening to House of Dragons recap, and baby, that reading that Rod gives Alley Cat and them badass children, 5 stars for the church fan honoring our Big Mama Viserys. Recipes, Ray Ray's daddy. Well, I'm glad you noticed that, Ramsey, because it seemed like sometimes people write in like I'm playing sides and I'm mean to some characters and nice to others. I'm only mean to the game, baby. Okay.
I'm mean to the game.
I'm only mean to the game. If you playing the game, dumb, I'm gonna talk shit about you. That's it. Allison kids ain't got no fucking business being on the throne. And it seemed like she was starting to realize that on them 6 years that Ray was in Dragonstone, she was looking around at this nigga masturbating and getting his Weinstein on and was like, maybe I shouldn't put him in charge. And now that dumbass Alzheimer's comment gonna get, now she gonna feel like she need to put him on the throne. She knows she wrong.
Yep.
Miss Mary Smile says, I love Rod going into character, especially as Viserys, as if you could make this recap any better. I also noticed that Rhaenyra was talking to Viserys in her garden of Gethsemane. I don't know how to say this word. I gotta look it up. A garden at the foot of the Mount Olives in Jerusalem. Gethsemane. Okay. Gethsemane. All right. I ain't go to Bible school. He called her his only child, going along with that feeling that Aemma was his true love. Yo, Rod and Karen, I hope y'all are feeling really good today. The king did his thing in this episode, especially at dinner when he shut the family up after all that bickering. It was like a wild TGIF episode. He was pretty much Big Mama fused with the medieval Patrick Duffy, but from step by step. It's always funny how them kids end up fighting every time they meet, but it's gonna be real sad real soon when they lose that rock and they held their family together. That goofy shit will flow out the floodgates. the eye patch dragon thief keeps looking at Damon like he be wanting to get something off his chest. I don't know if he intends to challenge Damon someday or something different, but he's been like that for a while. All of them are some I take what I want stuff and it's learned behavior. All right, fun recap. Y'all stay up and blessed. Yeah, I wonder why he looks at him like that, because they both are second sons. Damon definitely got a great reputation after winning that crab feeder war.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I don't know if it's like I want to prove my manhood by like taking you down, or if it's like I respect and look up to you so much. It feels a little like Kobe looking at Jordan.
Yeah,
to me,
it felt like a little bit of both, type of thing where because everybody else flinched was like, oh my god, and he looked like so that's what the bar is now. Like he didn't even flinch. He was like, oh, okay, I need to step my game up.
Yeah, like I definitely feel like Kobe looking at Jordan, where it's like, I love you, I want to be you, I want to destroy you.
Type of look in his eye. Yes.
Classic R&B lover says, hi Rod and Karen, as per usual. Excellent recap on the latest episode of House of the Dragon. Who knew that Stephen A. Smith could be your co-host for this episode? Yeah, that was definitely a choice I made. I was hoping it would go over well with people.
I'm glad it did.
And a lot of people did like it. I figured obviously nobody else was going to do that on their show.
Of course not.
But yeah, I'm just glad people liked it. It wasn't my best version of Stephen A. impression because I'm flipping back and forth between a lot of different voices, but I thought people dug it. This episode just reaffirmed why I'm Team Damon until he does something so awful I had to place him in a sick and shut in list. This will probably be the only time in history where a white man viciously murders a black man and gets my support. Man, Vaymon was spitting straight facts, but he failed to read the room. I mean, when Damon dared him to say it, he had to know how things are going to end. I guess I don't think he did know how things are going to end, but yeah, he lost his head for a second. No pun. Patty Considine did a hell of a job at Considine, maybe as
he was a prime example of keeping his eye on the prize and lost his head over it.
Did a hell of a job as Viserys at the scene at the throne with Matt Smith's Daemon was beautiful. It's reinforced what I said from the first episode. Daemon was telling Viserys the truth when he said Viserys should have made him the hand because he's the only one who had his back. However, the scene where Rhaenys was looking at Rhaenyra like she was a bug she would love to stomp out of existence was priceless. Yeah, I think maybe this Team Daemon thing you'll have to rethink at some point, but I feel like you let your emotions for Daemon overcloud all the other fuck shit he was doing while he was saying I'm the only one that had your back, but also embarrassing your daughter so that she wouldn't be able to be the heir and fucking up her reputation and sneaking in the castle and stealing a dragon egg and claiming to marry your side chick and all this shit, the petty shit he did to win the war, specifically without his help. I don't know that Daemon, when he was talking like that, would he even had it in him to be like consistent. And to be frank, even this episode, I think I even hinted at it, but it's like picking it up off the crown for his brother because it's his brother and he loved him in his tender moment, or because it really did suit his goals because the king was about to take the throne and do what he told the king to do yesterday. So it's just, I guess it just depends on what you want it to be,
Agreed.
Two little moments that I noticed, but not a lot of people spoke about, both involve Baela. First, when Vaymon was talking smack to Rhaenys and he stepped forward in defense of her mother. She stepped forward in defense of her mother. And then when all hell broke loose at the dinner, she was ready to jump in as Rhaena had to hold her back as Daemon stepped in. Add this to her clocking Aemon last week, and I see why Rhaena feels that Daemon prefers Baela. She is a female version of him. Perhaps that is why she, not Rhaena, was sent to live with Rhaenys when the younger child who presumably needed mothering most was right there. Daemon needed to have the child who he knew would keep him up to speed on the goings on at Driftmark in place. It was after all her note that prompted Daemon and Rhaenyra to return to King's Landing to stop Vaymon. Oh yeah, it seemed like you got the black girl cam on Baela, watching her close, and I watched her close too. I didn't see those details as that. It felt very in line with her character. She's definitely the one that want to fight compared to her sister, who kind of seems to gravitate towards wanting to be a princess. I hope that doesn't foreshadow like motherfuckers turning on because they always turn on the princess girls and they love the warrior girls. So I hope that doesn't foreshadow any of that. But
right.
Yeah, I saw those moments too. I thought they were telling moments. Logan Iman says, per the poll, there are a few things I would love to see, like Lena's story and how she tamed Vhagar. But I get that they're just trying to lay the foundation of what broke this family apart. So no, I don't think they're going too fast. If the second season is the same pace, then I would think they're going too fast. Well, according to George R.R. Martin, I forget how much time he said this is gonna cover the whole series. I want to say it was like 100 years or something. Like they want this, however many seasons they do, to cover like 100 years, and it's gonna take at least 4 seasons to tell the whole story.
Right. That means he can't be fucking around. You can't be dragging this story out. That's a long period of time.
I think the pacing may just be this way, and we'll see if people, get tired of it and don't like it. And I think
it don't bother me.
Yeah, I'm pretty much on record that I prefer the faster pace than the slower. If I have to pick, and maybe there's a middle ground somewhere that's out there, but I think it's so ambitious to try to cover 100 years of anything that I don't think we're just gonna have to accept certain shit. And I'll make note of it when we discuss it, because some of this stuff is like, oh yeah, but if we're being frank, do I need to see how she tamed Vhagar? We saw how Aemon tamed Vhagar. Just, I guess that, you know what I mean? And I guess they didn't want to stop if that happened. Say that happened 10 years ago. They didn't want to stop and be like, here's one scene from 10 years ago that doesn't add anything to the plot, when we can just show her flying her fucking dragon with her husband, and we already know she trained this big ass dragon.
And it's also, and maybe this is me, it's under the assumption that people are paying attention, and it's under the assumption that people understand the characters. It's like, oh, we don't have a dumb audience, we're just going to skip, and everybody know these things happen. And what you don't see, with the exception of Sir Christian, the situation like how he became on the Queen's Guard, other than that, somebody's gonna say it, point it out, and say something. We're just going to keep the story moving. We're not going to hold your hand like we did before.
Yeah. So, and I honestly think a lot of that slowness in the first series, looking back, is obviously because they were slowing shit down for that dude to write them books.
Agreed.
Like, it's just, now it's almost impossible. Now that we know what they do with something that has been written, that they don't have to wait on him, and how fast they move and get to the story beats a lot faster, the bigger moments. It's so obvious that they only started doing that in the final season, because it was like, he gave us the outline. He's never gonna write the books. Here we go. So anyway, they should mail Patty his Emmy and Golden Globe now. Did y'all notice Damon smirking after they broke up the fight at dinner? I'm mad he hasn't taught these strong boys how to be better fighters. Like, he's clearly just cares about his own kids in Rhaenyra. I guess I'm a villain because Aemon was looking good this episode. That eye patch works for him. Can't wait to see who he kills first. Iman.
Oh yeah, he's gonna take somebody out.
I just that dude is
somebody about to die.
That dude is just like when somebody he is just so built for this world in a way that's scary. Is this season flying by too quickly for you? Yes or no? There's 8 episodes. We only got 2 left. Yes, 67%. 33% say no, not flying by too fast. I feel you. Anchor, same poll, and the percentages are not there. But that's right. I remember. Anchor was tripping this night. It wouldn't let me put a poll up for this episode. And I refreshed. I did everything I could, and it just wouldn't let me do it. I don't know what was on with it. It wasn't the way I worded it, so I had to put it in the Q&A. The poll option wasn't working for some reason tonight. Recipes for Saris. And then everybody said, in the code, recipes for Saris. Miss Mary Smile says, not her Nancy Reagan. Tell me Allison wasn't giving y'all Nancy, the throat goat. Ernest says, you know what? I'm starting to think Allison's boy Aegon might not be an intersectional feminist. Yeah. Yeah, dog.
Don't say.
He the baby. Raphael says, recipes best king that I have seen in Westeros, rest well in the bosom of thy beloved. Thy sacrifice is deemed worthy of the old gods of Valeria. You died an MVP, Sir Elton. Play me Candle in the Wind. Renee says, all I can think of is when Viserys took off that mask was a Phantom of the Opera. Thank you for all you do. This podcast is the best. June says, recipes Viserys, you was a real one. You made a couple of not so good decisions, but you were too good for them heathens. He really was. Yeah, the like I said, reading that thing from Patty Considine on his Instagram about how the loss of Viserys' wife meant he died that day, and he accepted his fate with that cruel disease that ate his body up as like the consequence for that decision. Mm-hmm. That is so poetic and Shakespearean and tragic and beautiful that I honestly, it made me change the whole, like, I already had been softening on the character. That's what they do. But it really made me change the whole way I viewed that dude. It's like, yo, that I guess he really was going on for quote unquote duty, but he was suffering the whole time because he knew that shit wasn't right.
Yeah, and also that shows his soft spot for Damon, why he consistently would never kill him, would just kick him out, would just fall out with him. And then even after 10 years, he was like, hey, dog, you can still come back. And Damon was like, fuck you. And he was like, it's cool. I still love you. And he, Crip walked his ass on the way. But it's one of those things where that's why that love for him was always there, because he's like, oh, family's first.
Yeah, he's a big brother. Cute Yay Girl says, thanks for your hard work. Best podcast ever. Vaymon got a little ahead of himself this episode. Damon had to cut him down to size. Damn, this episode. Woo, could not wait for this recap today, says Ignacio. And Michelle says, LOL at this homegoing fan. That was the art for the show art. All right, on YouTube, let me see. No, we probably got comments on this one. 8 comments. Hugh says, the best House of Dragons recap there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Rest in peace to Vaymon, a visionary who was truly a man ahead of his time. Alas, he was headed in the wrong direction and forgot you never go full Stephen A. Smith. Thankfully, Damon Green was there to give him a heads up. Shout out to everyone else who busted out their best boycotts. Hold me back after he said it. The real MVP is Allison for wearing religion like a Republican wearing flag pins.
Oh, no!
That's her. She evangelical right. Turk says he's breathing like Jason Whitlock going up a flight of stairs. A bunch of ha's. Thank you. I'm glad I cracked you up. David says, great episode as always. Nothing to do, too much to add. Y'all already covered all the bases, so shout out to y'all. Great recap. First off, Vaymon effed around and found out this week. Got to keep your head in a situation like that. I was also wondering if Allison is having an internal crisis about being noble versus harnessing her inner Cersei, all I wear is green takeover vibes. Next episode preview looks like vibes about to change. LOL. Also, I wonder if that 190 proof milk of the poppy has some life support juice in it to keep him alive, so Ray can't take the throne and give the Greens a chance to strategically take over, because man survived every time skip. I don't think it did, man. I really think, like, I know it's a horrible thing to say, but I really think if Allison and Otto was truly about that life, they would have killed that nigga
a long time ago.
I'm surprised he made it that. I kept expecting there to be some type of twist where it's like they've been poisoning him, but it was like, nah, they really wake up every morning, help him get his treatments, keep him alive, and then they go sit on that throne. And I don't know, I guess maybe they don't want it as bad as I thought they wanted it, because not me personally, Rod, but I mean, if I'm a Game of Thrones person, I'd kill this nigga. And then while his daughter at Dragonstone, I'd be like, yeah, so the crown is mine. You can come visit, But shout out to Viserys, Grammy Award rocking, Al Pacino, Vin Diesel, family, big mama moments, LOL, except when he thought Allison was Ray. Them Targaryens like leaving cryptic messages that leads to chaos. Burn them all, Song of Ice and Fire, etc. Also, I'm excited to see the Daemon versus Aemon play out, because Aemon got the smoke for everybody until Daemon walks in. Great episode again. Looking forward to the chaos. We need more death, more thrones, and a dragon battle. Come on. Got 2 more chances, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Saf says, funny recap. I think I died a couple times in this episode. When Daemon cut Vayman's head in half, it was so unexpected that I had a delayed yell. I know, yeah. I had that dude looking like
me too. I looked at the screen like, oh.
Had that dude looking like the Canadian cartoons on South Park. Terrence or whatever.
Oh yeah,
Philip and
yeah,
Terrence.
when their hands be separated.
Yeah.
Yes, right at the lips. That shit is hilarious.
I wasn't quite sure what I saw then when Viserys took off his half mask. His face is worse than the Crypt Keepers. My mom must have been playing tricks because when he took that mask off, I could smell the funk from his decaying face. What made me angry with this episode was all the things that went on last episode. You would have thought Rhaenyra kids would have spent the last 6 years training. They should expect to have to fight Aemon's evil looking behind again. I know. I'm so worried for them kids. Rhaenyra's kids are too soft. You would have thought, they didn't get no Arby's. You would have thought Daemon would at least taught them something. I'm hoping they are setting me up, and maybe I'm wrong. I agree that Patty Considine deserves an Emmy. He played his role well, killed the good work. Yeah, they definitely could be setting us up. Like, Game of Thrones is good for this. They love a good, this motherfucker got no chance, and then they fighting, and somehow they win, and you be like, oh, well, I'll be damned. Brienne did beat the Hound, or, like they do love a good, one or two of those a season too. So maybe, we'll get a time skip and one of them little motherfuckers will be nice with the hands and we'll be like, okay.
They'll be a beast. And we'll be like, where did this come from? Yeah, they've been training and they just didn't show us a training montage.
Yeah, and I like to see that.
Me too.
Jennifer says, I love this series so much. Y'all make me laugh so hard. Thank you, Jennifer. Mm-hmm. Nicole says, hands down, the best House of the Dragon recap. Jokes are top notch. Lily says, not Viserys communicating through winks and wheezes. So many funny moments in this recap, but that one had me so tickled. Well, that's just straight from the show. I didn't make that up. Damon said that shit. Judy. Oh, wait. My mom says, a golf clap for this awesome recap. Dear brother, dear sister, y'all did that. I give you both the inaugural recap award. Bravo. Thank you, Mom.
Thank you.
And of course, we have to move to the other segments. We got voicemails. I think we got one person that left 2 voicemails. Let's get to those on 2 different days. Okay. One is probably a butt dial, I bet.
Hey, Rocky. This is Agent 19 on Twitter. That's my Twitter handle. But I was listening to the episode where we were talking about Biden and him pardoning all the people with marijuana possession on the federal level. It was wild how I didn't hear a peep from hardly anybody talking about it. And that's such a big thing. I want to piggyback on talking about the student loan forgiveness because it tripped me out how there were so many people complaining about it. Matter of fact, there's one person in particular, she was complaining about the fact that she said the middle class didn't get any help. Come to find out, her income was out of the $250 for a household or $150 individual. And I mentioned that, well, ma'am, you're part of the 2% of the whole population as far as salary-wise. She still thinks that she's part of the middle class. There's a warped mental state that's going on with people to think that you making over $150,000, you still need to get a lot of help from the government. Or you're making over $250,000 and you're making the top 2% of in the country. It's just wild. But love listening to y'all. Y'all have a great day. Bye.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. And what's wild is that when you break down what those people are really saying, it sounds like resentment and jealousy. Mm-hmm. So they're not really saying this is not helpful or these people shouldn't get it. Mm-hmm. They're saying, why didn't I get it? And when you look at it that way, it's really like, shut your selfish ass up. You know what I mean? Because it's like, so if you're saying you need help at the money you have, how are you shitting on this for the people that have less than you, who are getting help? You know, like you somehow placed out of it because you got it. You know, so that is a weird delineation that people are drawing when they do shit like that.
And somebody just brought up a good point. I did see that today. The beta application is out for the student loan relief. So for those of you that don't know, you can actually go out and start applying.
Yep. She left one more voicemail the next day, which, like I said, might be a butt dial. I don't know.
Hey, this is Agent 19 again from Twitter. So I was listening to the episode with JL Covain and y'all was talking about Arby's, and so I have a quick little story that's funny. I too do like Arby's from time to time. Their curly fries are delicious. Anyway, so we moved into this new neighborhood in 2020. There was an Arby's there. We was like, oh, great, we have an Arby's around the corner. Cool. Literally closed within a month or two of us moving there. We was like, okay, well, what's going to move? Taco Bueno moves in, paints the place, everything. We was like, oh, great, Taco Bueno. Taco Bueno only lasted for a month to maybe 2 months. Now there's another place there, some Mexican chicken grill place. Another restaurant across the street moved in and started up at the same time. We're still waiting for this third restaurant to start up. They have not opened up yet. I think the place is cursed. I think Arby's did something to them. That's my conspiracy theory, and I'm sticking to it. Anyway, talk to y'all. Listen to y'all later. Bye.
Yeah, I bet you.
That's hilarious.
I bet you those other restaurants moved in and they started, setting everything up, and then they found like a secret compartment in the deep freezer area that was full of bricks of cocaine, and they was like, we gotta close this shit immediately. I don't know what the fuck Arby's is doing up in here.
It was like, we ain't going to jail.
How come every time we start up the stove, it smell like crack is cooking?
Oh no,
like, that's not good. How come the sound system only plays Pusha T songs and Core Mega? It don't even play
It's no option for nothing else.
We can't even play like top 80s hits.
We can't play the top 100. What is happening here?
We got emails, and that'll be the last segment. Let's see. Roberta writes in, fuck 2 ads for 10 minutes. What the fuck? Fuck that. I'll fast forward 1 ad per podcast. Y'all do it right. There's a general audio cue for those of us that get wet for bells, and y'all are using slightly different voice. Is it racist for white people? Say probably. Sorry. Anyway, your ads are also a predictable length, so 2 hits will get past it. And like you said, you do a long ass podcast after only 1 read. That's a value, folks. Thanks again, as Karen would say. Haha. I think I was talking about how I was listening to or watching listen to a podcast or something, or reading something that was like, because I read about podcast news all the time, and it was like the average ad, it was like a podcast getting too many ads, and it was probably just obviously thinking of the top bigger podcasts,
right?
But there's a lot of podcasts that put out like a 30-minute episode a week, or 30-minute episode in a day or whatever each episode, and the guidance, at least coming from the bigger commercial entities, is 2 ads every 10 minutes.
That's a lot.
And I listened to some of those shows, The Daily, and I listen to a bunch of these shows, and yeah, it is a lot of ads. And so, I know you can get self-conscious about putting ads in your stuff, but honestly, when it comes to our shit, it's like, I don't feel bad about it at all, because I'm giving you 2 hours of a fucking show, 3 ad breaks. That ain't the worst thing in the world. And I can't control if people fast forward or skip them or whatever. That's totally on them. But this work is not easy, and it is not cheap, and it is not free. It's my labor, and just because I get paid in a non-traditional way doesn't mean my work is worth less than anybody else's. And especially when we're doing like House of the Dragon recaps, and when we're doing what we're doing right now, which is a feedback episode, we don't shirk on the feedback episodes. If the shit take 3 hours, it's 3 hours,
right?
And the only time we really skip something is if we really feel it adds no value to the show, or it's just somebody trolling or something. So we give everybody a chance to get their voice heard. And if that means that means I'm not gonna ever feel bad because I put 3 ads in a 2-hour show, and definitely when I look up and see it's 8 ads in a 30-minute show,
right?
Chriselle says, community, hi Rod and Karen. I know I don't write in often enough, and maybe I'll take y'all for granted. I'm still premium, smiley face, but I need to share something. I live in the San Francisco Bay Area. My child is trying to find a place of their own, and I had been so worried, not sure about who they'd end up with. When they came back from a meeting with prospective roommates, the first thing they said to me is one of them is friends with Rod and Karen. After spotting the Game of Thrones Funko and asking if they watched the show, one roommate said they didn't really watch the show, but they followed Dem Thrones and Dem Dragons hashtag because their friends' podcast is behind it. I think I've been listening for 8+ years now, so my child knew y'all and said, are you talking about the blackout tips? Y'all just don't know. This is a sign from the Lord. Or I say the 7 gods, but sure. Knowing this person is part of the extended community and a quote-unquote friend of y'all's put me at so much ease. They're still waiting to hear back for their application, so I don't want to put the situation on blast, but I just want to applaud y'all for your reach all the way from North Carolina to North Kyle. And thank you for being such a continued blessing to me. I hope y'all visit the Bay someday. I couldn't make the trip to SoCal when y'all here 3 or 4 years ago. Maybe I'll get Nick Jew on the case. Be safe and take care, Chriselle. Wow.
Oh, thank you.
What a small world.
Right?
That is so dope, man. I'm so glad to hear that. And yeah, I mean, I think we might not have the most listeners, but we definitely had the coolest listeners. So they'd probably be a good fit. So that's wow, that's so cool. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. That is really cool. Let's see. Mike writes in my email comments from 2611. When I made my Udoka comments, I didn't think it was necessary to state the obvious, but that was my mistake. In no way am I excusing sexual harassment or saying that the women involved should be outed and made example of. Yeah, and I hate to do this, but I think in this particular case, you almost have to say the obvious because you kind of skipped past it and started making arguments that Stephen A. Smith was making. And I can't tell if you're in for a penny, in for a pound with that, because one of the arguments Stephen A. Smith was definitely intimating was, why is this woman getting to be anonymous and this man is the one and it was definitely some put her name out there shit that he was promoting. So I think you almost have to make the distinction, because I had no reason to assume you were like only on this one part with Stephen A. would I agree. See what I'm saying? Anyway, listen to Balls Deep and hearing you reply that I was some sort of creepy enabler was frustrating, but hey, you don't know me, so I'm not entitled to any benefit of doubt. Here's the thing. I never called you creepy or enabler. And I just need that to be clear, because when I go in on people, which is rare, but when I really go in on people and I call them names and shit, there's a distinction, and you'll know. Like, I'm not like, I don't try to mix it with the like, let me shit on you, but not shit on you. I try to even be clear and be like when we just had Law's comments about the Democrats and shit, and I'm like, I'm not saying you're doing this, but this is why I find this thing to be annoying and why I really don't like to even broach it on my show, because it can be so disheartening to people and demotivational to people that vote and I think we're in a precarious position. But I didn't go, and it may feel differently on this side, but I just want to keep it fact-based. I didn't say like, Law, you blah, 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 motherfucker, you fucking up this, that, and the other, because you took the time to write in. You listen.
Right.
You may have an opinion we disagree with. Right. Not the end of the world. We're still allowed to disagree. We're still allowed to be passionate about it. But I don't want to turn into a show that does like, when you disagree and now you ain't shit and stop writing my show, you piece of shit. When Sean wrote that long ass thing, I'm not going to read on the air. I don't want to turn it into Sean, stop writing in your verbose motherfucker. Like, I didn't say any of that shit, and I don't even want to out there like I was saying that shit. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so the same way I'm like, like the way you're like, I didn't think it was necessary to distinguish this part from Stephen A. I'm distinguishing myself all the time because I think it is necessary, right? So I never called you a creepy motherfucker or an enabler. I don't know how you get down at your job. I don't know you like that. You know what I mean? Not saying you aren't, but I wouldn't have said that, and I didn't say that. And I think it's important to point out there. You may feel that I did not say that. I should have been more specific when I said the Celtics wanted to embarrass Ime. That was based on rumors. There was an owner's wife that Ime slept with. So I could see an owner putting the story out to make sure it wouldn't be swept under the rug, while also publicly embarrassing his wife's side piece. Also, I took Stephen A. at his word, which might have been misguided, LOL. It really sounded like he knew a whole lot of details about the Celtics. He always sounded like he know a whole lot of something.
He sound like he always knows.
I was watching the other day. He's talking about Draymond punching Jordan Poole and how it's bad and he won't be on the team next year and all this stuff. But then he was getting mad about other NBA players around the league who were saying that Draymond was wrong. And he kept trying to intimate it like, because he knows some inside things. And then it was so funny the way he did it, because he was like, because I know. Okay, I know. And like whoever the other, like Kendrick Perkins or something, like, he's like, and Kendrick, you know what I'm talking about. And Wendy, you know, we all know. And I'm like, what do we know, Stephen A? I'm not gonna say. I'm like, well, okay, this is just thing where everything is, I got some information y'all don't have, and I'm gonna intimate and imply a bunch of shit, but I won't full throat to say what it is. And y'all don't want me to say what it is. It's like, okay, this is your thing whenever you want to be wrong, but not explain why you're wrong. So that anyway, so I think he always sounds like he got some inside info. And I think a lot of the people that wanted to protect Ime couched it in, I have inside info, wink, wink, but they've never said what it was. And one of the big assumptions they said was the Celtics put out that link, that leak. And honestly, it never made sense. They never made it make sense because the leak did not embarrass him. The leak made him look good.
Yes, it did.
He engaged in a consensual relationship and is being suspended for a year. No more details needed, period. That's not something that would make him look bad. Most of us would be like, a consensual relationship at work, what's the problem with that? People do it. Is it not? It might not be the professional thing to do, but it's not the get suspended thing to do. Whoever put that leak out knew we would all think that.
Right.
So it doesn't sound like if the Celtics wanted to put the link, like wanted to hurt the guy and embarrass him, I don't think it was an owner's wife. It was somebody other executive, but they would have put out, he slept with the owner's wife. Bingo. The end. And then we would have been like, now that's embarrassing. So yeah, even that didn't make sense to me. Anyway, it really sounded like he knew a whole lot of details about the Celtics and how they were moving shady. Listen to the feedback show, and after hearing you two get into it more and break down the layers, I can see how there are lots of dots that I didn't connect or just allow others to connect for me. And yes, a lot of my feelings are based on Ime being black. It's a blind spot for me because I see a lot of business corporations, etc., only start to do the right thing when they can make a brown face the symbol for wrongdoing. So hearing that Ime had a consensual affair with an owner's wife, combined with Stephen A. saying that white people did this all the time, made me feel like once again an organization found the light and done the right thing once it wasn't only white people doing it. Appreciate your podcast and how you interact with listeners, even when wires get crossed, Mike. I don't think wires got crossed. I think you're saying exactly what I thought you believed. And I just think that was it symbolized what a lot of people were saying. And I thought those people were wrong. And I think ultimately a lot of those people were giving cover to Ime because they thought it was pro-black to cover up this black man's malfeasance. And also, like I said, a lot of that felt to me, I'm not saying it's what they said, but it felt to me like they didn't want to say the truth, which is I don't want a black man punished for this because white people have done this. And even though we know white people have been punished for this, I don't want to see a black man get punished for this. That's what it sounded like. Because even when you bring up the people who've done it and been in trouble for it, there's like, yeah, but that's different. It's like, how is it different? If anything, this guy's more public and a bigger deal. So it's even worse for him to do it, whether he be white, black, or whatever. You know, it's even worse that he would do the shit. And then lastly, it doesn't make sense. Whatever this, the conspiracy doesn't make sense that the Celtics would want to embarrass their coach and have him back.
Right.
It just does. The conspiracy makes no sense. Like, what do they gain by taking their well-liked, popular black coach who's extremely successful and good at his job and has the same, if not better, roster coming back this year, and they want to build on that success? Let's just embarrass him, but also don't fire him. You know, like, I think if they just want to embarrass him, just fire him and don't even say why, and then people will look into it because they will be like, they'll be so obsessed with figuring out why he got fired that he'll get exposed. And why would the dude want to like offer his resignation? If I don't know, just none of this made sense to me. And I just thought people were reaching because we want to protect black men at all costs. And I understand the impulse, but I thought we learned a lot. We should have learned more over the last 8 years from like the Me Too movement and shit, that you don't just jump out here and start being a shield for motherfuckers without knowing no details.
A lot of people didn't.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I did respond to him. To say it was a mature response. Glad to hear it. Make sure not to call you any names like creep or whatever when addressing you what you wrote. I spoke to the broader discussion people were having, saying that some version of the Celtics embarrasses black men. There are many assumptions that have to happen to think that they want to embarrass him, but also have him back a year later. To me, that version is much more far-fetched than what we've seen play out time and time again. If the Celtics could avoid all of this and sweep it under the rug to protect their very well-liked black coach, they probably would. All that being said, I appreciate you wrote in with that take, because I've been wanting to show people the connecting dots between teams and cover things up to not embarrass men in power like Seattle and the Celtics right now. So thanks for writing in. Let's see. Hey, R&K Supreme, y'all rock it and sock it and get the paper in your pockets. The dope new nickname you can have for free. Thank you for the new nickname. Chick-fil-A is slower only because they always have cars in the drive-thru. We got a Chick-fil-A next to Wendy's from about 11 to 2. Chick has a constant double lane of cars 10 deep, no exaggeration. Yep, I see it every day. Mm-hmm. The Wendy's next door never has more than 2. And the Chick-fil-A line stays moving. You can't put your car and park at the Chick-fil-A through. Y'all covered that. What our Chick be doing, like all the extra shade they put up, and the folks that walk to your window and the ones that give the food, you don't even mess with that window at Chick-fil-A. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they made it even though it's a longer process, it's wild. It's longer but smoother. I know that might not make sense. People go, yeah, I know the line is longer, but I can deal with the extra time for the better customer service.
Yep. Judy writes in, not my mom, different Judy. House of the Dragons. Greetings, Lord Rod and Lady Karen of House Tips. I'd like to thank you both for reviewing House of the Dragon. The show we actually watch every Sunday night, not the show people wish it was, not the show people think it should be, not the show without the time jumps, not the show but the show we actually watch and very much enjoy. Patty Considine needs all the awards. Damon, keep my wife's name out of your motherfucking mouth. Targaryen remains the best hunkle out there. That's hilarious. I was so nervous during the family dinner. I was happy for King Viserys, but I knew some shit was about to go down. Lastly, JL Covan, best guest ever. I laughed till I cried. Thanks. Oh, that's so dope. If he's in your area, go see him. JLCovan.com, JLComedy.com.
Yeah, him and Chris Lambert did a show, I want to say last night or the night before, and people are raving about it. They said it was a great show.
Praying on your knees for Big Mama Viserys. This is from Julie, who says, first, do y'all know where one might come by a Viserys mask for the side of one's face that may have planked into the carpet laughing while trying to exercise as you two fools were ad-libbing the superhero stylings of Chick-fil-A's Michael Man of Steel Gordon? Secondly, House of the Dragons got me with Sunday episode, y'all, from Damon choking up and trying to talk all the business when he first saw how bad off Viserys was, Rhaenyra seeing how power both means nothing and is also overwhelming when your daddy, who loved you more than anything and shielded you, is about to leave this world, and Damon helping his brother to the throne and crowning him as his final act of reconciliation. Only the end, Viserys all alone, the sound of waves swelling against the silent background, those tears and a no more when the darkness and him calling out, my love, eclipsed the very real emotions I felt leading up to the culmination of his. Patty Considine did that. It makes you appreciate his whole arc and his rationale, which he may have easily relegated to clueless and weak denial, as an example of how people will act somewhere between duty and freedom when love or its absence breaks you down. Third, thank you again for enduring the flood of feedback. You're in the home stretch. We appreciate your love of the forum because you're helping carry us through even trying times, reminding us that we can enjoy life together. Much love and peace always, Julie. Thanks, Julie.
Thank you.
Miss Stacy says, greetings. The Blackout Tips interview with Karama Horn was so good. I ordered the book. This is a lot because I am an audiobook devotee. I wish I was on the mainland to get it signed. Anyways, thanks again. I'm looking forward to reading it, Miss J. And she sent a picture of the book.
Thank you. Shout out to y'all that are buying the book and continue to buy the book and got the book and sharing the pictures. That means a lot to us.
John says, good morning, Rod and Karen. Rod, as members of the Garland gang, Just wanted to share this great Atlantic article about him. In case you haven't seen it already, one of the things it notes is that the DOJ guidelines he is following are the ones he actually helped draft in the 90s. So clearly he's going to believe in them and follow the process, which raises the really obvious question. If you have the guidelines and a process that gets the DOJ conviction 96% of the time, why the fuck would you ever consider deviating from those guidelines or cutting corners on the biggest case of your career and likely the biggest case in U.S. history? Make it make sense. I have so tapped out of the do something Merrick Garland hive, and honestly, he took a lot of the wind out of their sails because he been doing shit, and every time they say something, another thing pops up that he already been doing. So the only thing they got left now is to try to rush him,
right?
Which, like you already brought up, I think we're in complete agreement on this. Is why the fuck would I rush the thing that I'm 96% chance of winning at in the biggest case of all time? If the only thing worse than him not going after Trump at all is going after Trump and missing.
Correct.
He has to make the best case possible because our laws aren't really designed to put a president in jail. So he has to make the best case possible in this fucked up world with all this malfeasance and subterfuge and obstructionism coming from Trump judges and shit.
Right.
Let's see. It would be like having a play that doesn't always work, but then when it does, it gets you an easy layup 96% of the time and saying, let's try something different in game 7 of the finals for your last play because people in the crowd would rather see a half-court shot. Imagine how we would roast any coach who did something so foolish.
Right.
That story about the priest who was paying for lots of porn accounts, it had me absolutely cracking up. Karen, when you made the joke about horny women 1 mile away, I was literally making the same joke in my car while listening along. What if the big reason that dude got in trouble isn't because the use of the church money or the creepy nature of the porn, but because he was just watching the wrong religion, like Mormon girls or quote unquote Muslim porn, where they're clearly Latina actresses throwing a hijab? Listen, the Muslim porn genre is very disappointing.
It is.
Like this is like what's the one? Fuck. Back in the day, it was like real offensive and basic. Like I can't even remember the name of it, but essentially it was some shit like "we fuck Muslims" or some shit like it was some extremely racist and fucked up thing. Now they do extremely racist fucked up, but they call it hijab hookups. But it's just women that are spicy white or off-white,
right,
wearing a hijab.
That's not the same.
There's almost never somebody, even from whether they're Muslim or not, it's not even someone of the ethnicity of the places that, and it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. We are so racist, and porn is the one place where we're honest about being racist, because it's so racist to just be like, put on this job. Okay, you an exchange student, right? And I'm gonna be fucking. It's like, the things that people do I was thinking about this the other day. All the porn sites and scenarios and different things. It's so funny because they do all this like setup. Someone either writes or improvs all these quote unquote scripts, and each site has their own specialty, right? It's in this one I'm gonna be I'm a police officer that pulls you over and blah blah blah, right? But at the end of the day, once they start having sex, is porn stars having sex, and they're not just having sex; they're having porn star sex. So it's like I'm your stepmother, and I'm gonna have sex with you. But then when they have sex, it's like, fuck me, daddy, fuck me. It's like, it's never, it's like the acting is not consistent. It never keeps up. Or like when they're having sex, they're saying full sentences for the scenario, which is, I'm sure, listen, I'm sure I don't need to tell y'all this, but I'm not into actual incest. Like I would assume almost nobody is, right? But it's so funny because once they start fucking, they almost had to just repeat the entire scenario again. Well, between sex, like they're having sex and they're like, "Oh my God, have sex with me, stepson, yes, stepson. Oh, stepmom, it's so good. Oh yeah, you like that, don't you?" It's like, get out of here.
You're like, this don't make sense.
I've never had incest, but I imagine that's not how it goes.
Apparently, I don't think that's how it goes.
Great episode. Oh, it says anyways, hilarious. All I can say is, yo, have you ever heard of Jerkmate? LOL. Yeah, you just got to get a person. It's an ad on every porn site. Does it work? Do people?
I don't know.
Is there someone clicking on that like live Jasmine thing that pops up every time?
Somebody must be, because they are adamant about it.
I assume that 99% of their traffic is just someone clicking on it by accident because they were jacking out too fast.
Yeah, went in and was like, oh shit, and then just back out of it.
Yeah, they tried to like close the window and they clicked on it by accident. It's like, I don't want to go live with Jasmine. I want to see stepmoms have sex with stepsons.
Yes, and they make it hard to X out of that shit too. What they do, they make the X almost invisible, or they make the X really, really tiny, or it's like the blow up on the page where you have to shrink it down. They purposely make it where they were like, you don't click on this shit.
That's why I want to put the Blackout Tips ads. I want to make them like porn ads where they pop up and then they move around so you can't close them and shit. And
auto plays and shit.
You end up closing the main window you was trying to look at the porn in, and now you just got the Blackout Tips there.
Come on, have our 2-minute Spotify audio play. Bust a dent. This is the Blackout Who Tips podcast.
Yep. You in there listening to podcasts again? No, Mom, I'm trying to jack off. I swear to God. Great episode with JL Covan, but I did want to push back about one thing about women who have abortions. Oh, well, listen, I'll never fight back on anyone pushing back against some shit that JL Covan said. Okay. I would never stand behind what JL says. Okay. I disavow the man half the time that he's on the show. And the other half is all private DMs that I'm disavowing what he says. So only half of the women who have an abortion think it's a difficult decision. Oh, only half? That's still a lie. But yeah, I hear you. I'm sorry. It's just funny. It's funny to say. Listen, only 50% of women think it's difficult. But I know what you're saying, because according to Republicans, or according to anti-abortion people, they make it seem like it's 100% difficult. Anyway, the other half didn't find it difficult at all. And after 5 years, nearly all people said it was the right decision. I know JL was joking, but the presumption that it is this incredibly hard moral dilemma is a common right-wing talking point that is just not true in my experience with several friends who work at Planned Parenthood, and even personally. I was involved in an unexpected pregnancy years ago, and the decision was really a no-brainer for us. We didn't want kids, and the woman was old enough that there would have been serious risk to. We went down. Oh, is it stepmom? Anyway, we went down to the clinic. She got the procedure, and then we went home and watched movies and hung out like any other Friday night. The only real worry we had was about the stigma that society places around the whole topic, not the decision itself. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's the case for a lot of people, but the reason I would say difficult decision, quote unquote, I don't necessarily know there's a decision that is difficult. I think it's still a procedure you have to have on your body, and you have to have somebody else do it for you. And so you got to go to a place,
right? It's a process.
Yeah. And so I think and I don't want to speak for JL, but I think less so than just like the difficulty of the morality of it, which may be where JL was coming from. I think there's a lot of us that just realize it's a process and it's work, and it's not lightly thought of for a lot of people.
Right.
And the reason I have to say that is because the other right-wing stigma is that women essentially see abortion as birth control.
Right.
It's thoughtless.
Not true.
It's just every time they get pregnant all the time. They have sex with unprotected sex, and then every Tuesday they up in the fucking Planned Parenthood having an abortion. Now, while that should be fine and should be legal, it is also not representative of the vast majority of people that get abortions. And I think it's important, because while you're pointing about the stigma one way, there's also the stigma the other way, which is definitely fueling a lot of evangelicals, which is these moralist women are out here having abortions all the time rather than use a condom, birth control, or anything else. So I think it's just, which way are you leaning, but based on which right-wing people do you want to tell to go fuck themselves? On a completely another note, when you were talking about the Hotep mythology, I was thinking there's actually the potential for a great fantasy movie or HBO style series. Kanye could do the soundtrack. Not sure who would star in it. Are there any big name actors who are openly Hotep? I hope not.
I hope not either.
But obviously the Nubian
Hotepness to yourself.
The Nubian princess would be played by Sarah Silverman. That would be good. I don't want to do that because it'll probably be like Tariq Nasheed wrote it or something, or Dr. Umar or somebody be involved with it. And we don't need to get those people any more money or space. P.S. is T with Queen and Jay still doing podcasts? I've been meaning to check them out again, but every time I look, all 6 episodes from a year or so ago. Am I missing something? Cheers, stay safe. Well, you're missing their Patreon, white man. Okay, you could give some money to their Patreon because they did put up some shows for us behind the paywall over there. But no, I think they just took a break, and listen, they're a radical space, and them black women was like, we need some time to chill and get away from this capitalism. Okay, y'all not gonna work us to death. And we had lunch with Jay, breakfast with Jay when she was here a while ago, and it was great. It was lovely. It was fun.
I always enjoy
talking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I always enjoy talking with Janisha, and seem to be doing good. Just that's hit them up on social media if you want to. I don't think our podcast can say why they not doing their podcast. Like that feels kind of inappropriate and overstepping my bounds. And in fact, I feel uncomfortable with this whole thing. I'm moving on to the next email.
Man, why are you talking, man?
Right. Like, let me mansplain to you why these black women, okay, these females, like, nah, I'm good. They they social media. Email them. Email them. Maybe he emailed them, they ain't respond. So now you like checking with their friend podcast.
Let me check with y'all. Is everything okay?
They missing. We need to form a search party to find these podcasters. We got everybody group up.
Shit, if that was the case, there'd be some podcasts I would go find out. Y'all dropped off the face of the earth. Y'all was my favorite.
Right. Come on, neck of the woods. What the fuck?
Come on, neck of the woods.
Shonda writes in, hey, Rod and Karen. Long time no right, but y'all know why. Rod, I know we exchanged some tweets on Twitter about this, but you were right. At the end of the day, Cersei was right. You play the game to win or you die. Vaemon didn't seem to understand that at all. It ain't about being right. It's about it's about who's in charge. It's about what who's in charge puts in place. There you go. At the end of the day, once Viserys came in on the throne, Vaemon should have taken a step back. After all, Viserys clearly wasn't long for this world, so the issue of succession could have waited. And I agree with you. Rhaenyra's kids were clearly loved, but they are summer princes going into a winter-like war. They are not built for ruling. At the very least, they need to be able to defend themselves, and it is clear they cannot even do that. In that sense, both mothers failed their children. Anywho, love to recap. Keep them coming. Take care, Shonda.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know what I keep thinking too is like they keep bringing up how it was a time of peace that under Viserys, and that the time of peace got them soft as fuck. And it makes sense because he was even worried when he died. Was like, I'm gonna be a soft king, and everybody gonna remember, not gonna forget about me. And sound like that's the case because these next motherfuckers coming up about to be fucked up. Regular news music. This is our boy Infrared Crypto, aka Amon. He says, I hope all is well. Listening to your recent episodes gave me the idea of sending you a few new tracks for the regular news segment.
Shit. Regular news, regular normal ass news segment.
These beats have a variety of different sounds and styles to choose from. Love to see if any of these fits the show. Additionally, look forward to the show every week, and it's always great to hear your nuanced perspectives on numerous topics. Thank you all for the insightful content and that you throughout the years.
So we can make the transition.
Yeah, he sent some beats, and I think I'm gonna be using these. Yes, I love
like
these.
that.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna be using all of these, buddy. Just like randomly putting them in, because the other thing. Yeah, the other thing is that when we use the beats from some of the other beats, we end up getting what do you call it? Flagged for copyright stuff on YouTube. And basically they say like, you can't monetize this video, you don't get the ad revenue because you use 15 seconds of this other beat. And so, and it was beats that I got when I was at Spotify. So I've been using them, but yeah, no more of that bullshit. I want all my money. All right, that's it for this episode and all the feedback. The only other thing I got was feedback for This Too Much, which I just need to put on the website. Appreciate y'all listening. Appreciate y'all writing in. Hopefully no hard feelings towards Law and Sean. And who else did I piss off?
And we thank
Mike.
y'all for writing in. Y'all expressing y'all feelings, and we expressing ours too.
Yeah, so hopefully no hard feelings towards those people. But you know, I think we gotta live in a place of honesty and authenticity. And I found in my life that when I communicate exactly how I'm feeling and I'm honest with people, it draws boundaries in a perfectly healthy way that enables them to like work with the information that I have. And it's always out of respect and love, and I hope people take it as much. But you know, from my experience, the people that can't take it kind of take care of themselves, and it works. It resolves itself either way. But you know, appreciate y'all for for writing in, and you know, that's the result of work, man. That's a result of therapy, and as a result of like mental exercise and works and creating habits that I now feel like, hey, we don't gotta agree. I'm not gonna be mean about it, but you know, I'm gonna tell you exactly how I feel. So hopefully y'all take it in that spirit. All right, y'all. We'll talk to you later on in the week. Until then, I love you.
I love you too.
Mwah. Bye, everybody. Have a good rest of your night. Peace.